Okay, so the one I played yesterday is a kind of solo performance where I play. I'm in the role of a one-man orchestra. I have a loop station, repeats and records the stuff I play, and I make music by playing on a different instruments and then layering these sounds on top of each other. On the other hand, Balkanopolis is a whole different world. It's sound of modern tradition. It's a concept that I've been pursuing and developing for the past 21 years, since Balkanopolis exists.
1997.
1997, yeah. And the Balkanopolis is using all the colors of tradition, the ancient old colors from traditional singing, as I mentioned, grleno pevanje, it's thank you, archaic throat singing, to Byzantine chant, to all the traditional instruments, and then using them in an epic or lyrical sound contexts. And by saying this, I mean to use. We're using. We have like a rock rhythm section, but we also have a lot of orchestral sounds that we use. My music is inspired by all traditional things that I have experienced. It's not inspired by religion. It's what it really is that I've heard, like when I first heard the Byzantine chant. Of course, I was mesmerized because it is an amazing music. And I mean, not only music, it's all the lyrics and all the devotion in this are really well, you could say it's out of this world. But I grew up weaned on traditional sounds, traditional music. Yeah, I was hooked on bagpipes. I was hooked on all these traditional sounds, and I just found them fascinating. And at the same time, I grew up in the era of 80s of amazing pop music, like art pop, probably one of the best eras in the pop history. And of course, I loved jazz music and I loved classical music. So all these kind of were part of my inner musical world, and eventually I kind of felt the need to put them all together. But it's quite a complex sound, so it took a long time to achieve it. And it was only when we started working with the Metropole Orchestra from Holland that I could actually have one part of this sound covered. And then we just went to Reworld Studios and recorded the rest with a very nice producer from there called Rich Devens. And yeah, now we're here. We just travel around the world and present this music in a very pop kind of way. Well, I'm a kind of guy that always likes to work with extremely talented and musicians that I consider are better musicians than myself. And in that regard, I was always fortunate to be able to work with people who are masters of their own instrument. And when you're in such a position, it's of course beneficial for the music to yes, of course you give the guidelines, and yes, of course you know exactly what kind of a sound you want, but within this space there's so much of the world to explore. And some things, of course, I mean, I am kind of a guy that tends to make the final decisions, control the process from the beginning till the end. But I'm also a person that serves the music, and if you want to serve the music, you cannot consider yourself to be the only music that's going to happen. So you have to tickle that space and see what the music actually comes up with. So it's kind of interactive process of a musician and the music itself. I used to be when I was starting and when I was in puberty, obviously, I used to be a guy that used the music to serve himself. And then simply during the years, as you get older and your attitude clashes with the essence of life around you, you see and you understand that it is not the music that should be serving you. It is you that should be serving music. And I remember a few pivotal moments. One of them happened on the concert with the symphony orchestra, where I literally passed into the other side from during the performance. I remember this incredible feeling of letting go, and the feeling that I was almost overwhelmed by the music we were playing. I know the exact moment on the exact concert when this happened, and one thought came through my mind, and the thought was something like this is how it should feel like. This is what you should do. Now the music is guiding, and we're just there to follow. So my heart is 100%. My heart and soul is 100% open to this huge wonder called music, and everything that it brings, all the incredible joy and incredible soul-changing experiences that it brings us. For me, music is a force from out of this world. It's almost like I feel it's a way for the good to communicate with us and to make us better versions of ourselves. I keep saying this better versions of ourselves because there are so many versions of us that there can be, and we are making a lot of decisions ourselves in that regard of who we are and who we want to be and how we perceive ourselves, and 101% of it is ego driven because it's about us. But when you let go, and when it's not about you, when you open yourself to something greater than your pitiful little skin and bone collection in one piece, you are becoming something much better. And but it is you have to open up. You cannot control this. This is something beyond your inner perception, your small perception of who you are and what the world is. We don't really see much, and by all means we don't really know much. I mean, if I've learned something over these 40 years is that I know nothing. Seriously, and all these instruments that I play and all the music that I've made, it's one drop in the ocean. I mean, I find it precious because it's part of my life, and I love it dearly. But really, I mean, in the true scale of things, this is just one small, So how can you think highly of yourself if you are just one drop in the ocean? And I often like to treat this, as I mentioned in the previous interview that you said you overheard. For me, Balkanopolis is the world, my inner world, this world of music. And when I create this music, I have to be out of the box, and I have to be in the state of, let's call it, free falling. It's kind of you have to make a leap of faith. You cannot make that kind of music and let the music guide you and you be the servant unless you let go. So you have to let go of your perception of what you think is the thing to do. I mean, you will always make something. If you take a paint and you stand in front of a canvas and you decide to touch the canvas with a brush and paint, you will make something. There will be some color on the canvas. But what is it? And where does it come from? So why do you draw that line? So all these lines, now I'm speaking about the music, they have to be kind of naturally there. There has to be a big picture. And so when I'm in the state of writing music, it's a place where you're out of the box. And when you kind of make this, when you're standing on the edge of the box, now there's all this space around you, and nobody knows what's out there, but you just have to make a leap of faith, and then you just step into unknown, you spread your arms, and you just let go. And for me, like this world and these sounds that I've been hearing in my head since my early childhood, sounds of traditional instruments like gaide or kaval or tambura or whistle, frula or duduk or Armenian duduk or all these other instruments or vocals. I kept hearing them against Rachmaninoff symphonies. I kept hearing them against pop songs, like groove that Prince has in his songs. Quincy Jones produced beats and then synth basses and all that. And then suddenly this world is like it's endless. There are no boundaries, and I found myself so inspired and so excited by these sounds that I just realized that I have to make this because it's not out there, it doesn't really exist yet, and it took a long time to reach. It took around 10 years actually to reach that sound in all its fullness, which actually happened in 2007 with our first concert with the Metropole Orchestra. And for this I had to organize a whole concert. I brought a whole orchestra from Holland to Belgrade and organized the biggest stage in Belgrade in Sava Center.
When did you move back to Novi Sad?
I moved back after 8 years of living in Holland. I lived there during my studies. So after the grammar school I went to Conservatory van Amsterdam. I studied jazz on saxophone, and this actually helped me also develop the way of thinking, because jazz is like a blank canvas and it gives you so much freedom to improvise and to I use, with all these instruments that I play, I use techniques of one instrument on another and vice versa. Some of the instruments I play with my right hand on top, like the sorry, this is a proper way. So right hand on the bottom, left hand on top. That's what they say is a proper way. So the instruments that I have to play like this are clarinet, flute, saxophone, because they are made in that way, right? But every instrument that is possible to play the other way around, I play other way around. So the whistle, the frula, our traditional instrument, I play with left hand down. It just felt natural. And they kept changing it all the time, but it doesn't feel natural to play it like this, although I play other instruments with the right hand down. So frula, Armenian duduk, bagpipes, I play with the right hand up. So I have a double technique, and this also helps you develop here. But also there are different techniques for each instrument, and then you can just apply them on each one of the other instruments. First time in Malaysia, we were booked by this amazing woman called Jun Lin Meo, and there is something about her that I found fascinating. So the way we spoke and the way we talked about it, she's one remarkable woman, and she asked for me to send all the material that I have. This doesn't happen so often. People are mostly ignorant, oblivious, and they don't really care. She listened to all, actually. She organizes everything, and she books the bands, and she's... I think she is the festival, if you're asking me. And having this experience with her, of someone who is looking at the world with eyes wide open, I also realized that this festival also must be special, because these kind of people are the people that actually make this kind of festival. What is festival? Festival is just a name for somebody inviting you to be their guest. So who invites you? When this person invites you, you see through her that this is something special. And I think, above all, she's the one that makes this festival special. And the fact that she chose Balkanopolis, she could have chosen all the other, any other usual suspects, so to say, to bring into the festival. but we are often perceived as Balkanopolis is often perceived as too traditional band. Is too traditional band for the pop scene, for the modern scene, and we are too pop for the traditional scene. And I beg to differ because I really truly believe that we belong in both worlds, and we do. So when you meet someone like Jun Lin and she sees this immediately, you don't need to explain. You don't need to sell the band and tell all the special things about your sound. It's there. The sound is there. She just needs to listen to it and hear it, and she hears it. So I believe again that it is actually the spirit of Jun Lin behind this whole festival that makes it oh so special. She takes care of everything from the production to programming to every single little detail of this festival, and you can see, you can feel there's love on every corner that you see, on every stage, in every person that came here. Everybody's happy because they feel, you feel like you came to visit a family, and we are. It's true. We are part of one big family here. So I really feel like at home.